Hola, minasan! Welcome back for another round of trailer reactions. I had to let that go long because we're gonna be watching presentations in addition to the trailer. Sony announced a new edition of PlayStation 5 known as the Pro PS5 Pro. Good title. Good title. It's a good title. You know, Pro. Very easily, very easy. The question is, what did they stuck in it? Because these PS5s are very difficult to get, and I don't think I'm ever going to get another PlayStation. PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 was, to me, peak. Despite the stumble that PS3 had, they did recover and unleash some damn good games on it. But the problem is that I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about these recent consoles from Xbox and PlayStation. From Microsoft and Sony, the Xbox Series XS and the PlayStation 5 regular and Pro. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's even worth it. Steam, I don't. Steam really covers a lot of ground on this generation, with the Switch as a supplemental game console. Side for side gaming. Hopefully the Pro will offer up something big, because holy mackerel, man, what is going on with this generation? Oh man, what is going on with this generation? So, yep, let's see what the Pro's all about, everybody. Fingers crossed. The next leap. Everything's always the next. The next leap. How many more leaps can you do? Seriously. Special super resolution. Who in the department came up with that one? High frame rates, 120 frames per second. Doesn't the regular already do that? Enhanced ray tracing. Shouldn't that already be a thing in programming? That's it? Buzzwords. Buzzwords. That's all I saw was buzzwords. Buzzwords. What's going on here? That means nothing to me. None of this means anything. You're showing the system and you're just saying... Let me see here. What is it that you said? These are all corporate buzzwords. Corporate buzzwords. Super resolution. What the hell is a super resolution? Spectral... Spectral. I'm gonna have to find out what the heck they're talking about. Spectral. This is corporate buzzwords. Come on, man. And you're not even showing the gameplay. I mean, I know the presentation probably got the gameplay and everything. 120 frames per second. I thought the regular PS5 offers that. Are you saying that the regular PS5 doesn't offer that? Are you serious? Oh man. And ray tracing, isn't that what the game programmers, isn't that what the game programmers are supposed to be doing? Ray tracing, isn't that already in the games themselves from the programmers, all the developers and game companies? Corporate buzzwords. Come on. Come on. Stop giving these buzzwords. And that's it. Vertical stance sold separately. And I still don't like the way this is designed too, the PlayStation. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. There's no disc tray? I don't see a disc tray anywhere. Did they take out this thing doesn't do discs? No, they wouldn't do that, would they? Oh my gosh, hold on a second here. This is not good. I'm a little worried here. All I see is corporate buzzwords from the trailer. All I see is corporate buzzwords in this trailer, and it looks like there's no disc tray. So they're gonna pull an Xbox, they're gonna pull an Xbox One and make it all digital. My issue with consoles going all digital is that I could go to Steam and go all digital, and I'll still have the PC computer with all the bells and whistles that come with the PC, like doing work, internet, quality of life stuff, listen to music and everything. You know what I'm saying? Everything that a PC comes with and has, and I could do other programs as well. You know what I'm saying? That's always been my issue with all digital consoles. If I want to go all digital, I'll stay on Steam because I have a laptop, I have a PC computer. I could download I could get games off of Steam. I got the same level of quality, and I can also upgrade. Well, I know that I don't know. Can a PlayStation 5 upgrade? Well, I can still upgrade my computer if I need to get the latest graphics cards or anything necessary. And I could still get myself a good another monitor that could do the full 4K business if I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? And be able to play games like Black Myth Wukong. I mean, I played Black Myth Wukong with the settings I currently have, and it came out gorgeous and everything, and it's digital. It's digital. Buzzwords. The reveal trailer just showed the console and gave me buzzwords. I was expecting some gameplay, a little gameplay here. I hope that this technical presentation offers that, some gameplay, and also explain if there's going to be a tray or not. Because if this thing's going all digital, I mean, I hope Nintendo doesn't do that either. I hope Microsoft doesn't even go back to doing that, because guess what? I'm just gonna stay on the PC and go and do the digital from there. And I get everything, and I could be able to upgrade with graphics cards and everything. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get shackled down by a closed off ecosystem in the form of home consoles, where Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo can do whatever they want with their patch updates to my consoles that could result in God knows what. You know what I'm saying? Alright, let's check out the presentation.
Hi, I'm Mark Cerny. I'm excited to be here to talk about the newest
Hi,
edition
Garth.
of our console lineup, PlayStation 5 Pro, and how it advances gaming technology. But first, I want to take just a minute to look at what we put in the original PlayStation 5 and how it delivers an exceptional gaming experience.
Yeah, they did take out the
When PS5 debuted in
disc
2020,
tray.
it brought a lot to the table. 8 Zen 2 CPU cores form the brains of PlayStation 5 and enable high-speed complex gameplay, with character counts reaching into the hundreds and frame rates that can be as high as 120 frames a second. PS5 has a powerful RDNA 2 GPU, which can render anything from intricate details to fantastic worlds with vast panoramas to explore. Ray tracing allows for dramatic visual improvements, including reflections off of water or glass,
But that's already
and the
done.
realism that comes from real-time global illumination. A custom SSD can load data at breathtaking speed, resulting in ultra-fast transitions between game worlds and data streaming rates so high that traversal speeds are essentially unlimited.
You okay? I'm working on it.
Tempest 3D audio tech brings an unparalleled sense of immersion to the sound of the games. With audio so real, you may not even need to see the enemies to know exactly where they are. Finally, the DualSense controller has haptics that let you feel through your hands what your character is experiencing inside of the game. It's wonderful to see such variety and richness of game experiences. Creators have made amazing use of the hardware capabilities, but when I talk to them, I do hear about their desire for more graphics performance. The dreams of the developers are bigger than can be supported at 60 frames per second, and that leads to an aspect of modern gaming that we're all familiar with: graphics modes. It can be a difficult choice for players. Fidelity modes emphasize the visuals, typically through higher resolution rendering. These modes might also have enhanced detail or use more ray tracing. The games only run at 30 frames per second. The visuals can be choppier and the controls less responsive. Performance modes emphasize frame rate and interactivity, typically choosing to run at 60 frames per second, mainly by reducing the graphical detail until those frame rates can be achieved. When asked to decide on a mode, players are choosing performance about 3/4 of the time. Removing that decision, or at least narrowing that divide, is one of the key targets for PlayStation 5 Pro. We want to give players the graphics that the game creators aspire to, at the high frame rates that players typically prefer. To do that, PS5 Pro substantially improves over PlayStation 5 in 3 ways. Here's what we call the Big 3. First, we made the GPU much larger and increased the speed of the memory it uses. The result is rendering that's up to 45% faster. Second, we made major upgrades to the ray tracing, taking a streamlined and accelerated approach that allows calculation of the rays at double or even triple the speeds of PlayStation 5. And finally, we added custom hardware for machine learning and an AI library called PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR for short. PSSR analyzes the game images pixel by pixel and can add an extraordinary amount of detail, which boosts the effective resolution of the games.
Explain the AI-driven upscaling.
PS5 Pro support to new and existing titles, and with the Big 3 involved, the results can be pretty amazing, with graphics showing something like fidelity levels of detail, but at double the frame rate. Here's The Last of Us Part 2 running on PS5 Pro. It has huge amounts of detail and targets a super smooth 60 frames per second. Let's compare this to the Fidelity mode on PS5, which is only running at 30 frames per second and is therefore much choppier. This goal of delivering almost Fidelity-like graphics at performance frame rates has been achieved for a broad set of titles, including Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. We can see that PS5 Pro is close to doubling the power of PlayStation 5. Another way to compare the two consoles is to look at PS5 Pro versus Performance mode on PS5, both of which target 60 frames per second. What we see here is a difference in detail. PS5 Pro is much sharper and crisper than PS5. For this, my favorite is the parade scene from Ratchet & Clank. Distant details are much clearer. And here we can see Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is noticeably higher resolution throughout the scene, including the trees and procedural cars. So overall, some remarkable improvement to the games. On PS5 Pro, we can see increased sharpness to the graphics or smoother and more responsive gameplay. This is the Big 3 showing their value. As you've been seeing, machine learning via the PSSR library is being used quite broadly to add pixel detail and boost frame rate. But there are as many approaches as there are game engines. The increase in raw GPU power is being especially effective for Horizon Forbidden West. Apart from the detail boost, that extra graphics power is allowing for improvements to lighting and visual effects, as well as to the hair and the skin in cinematics.
Open up, guys. Jor's orders.
Enough for me.
Ray tracing is finding broad usage as well, particularly when the games are focused on higher frame rates. The faster hardware in PS5 Pro can make a real difference, allowing Gran Turismo 7 to add ray-traced reflections between the cars in gameplay, while continuing to support their targeted 60 frames per second. That boost in ray tracing is also delivering big wins for Hogwarts Legacy, allowing not only for better reflections and a greater variety of reflective surfaces, but also for further realism in the casting of shadows. I hope you've enjoyed this run-through of the technology behind PlayStation 5 Pro. Simply put, it's the most powerful console we've ever built, and a worthy addition to the PS5 family. Let me wrap this up by giving you a quick look at a number of games running on the new console.
You'll never
Oh, we're getting a montage. And it's probably gonna get copyrighted. Great. He didn't talk about the missing disc tray.
Don't let me hang.
These games are already out on the regular PS5.
Close your eyes. It'll be worth it.
Okay.
Did I do it? Is this? What's with all the neon?
How much? Are you serious? 700? So the fact that they took the disc out and and the comparison was there. Let's see here. I can find the comparison between the two. Let's see here. I gotta listen to that graphics mode again. Make sure I understood what I heard correctly. Because I don't know. This. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I'm having a hard time processing this here. First of all, the Pro took out the disc, so unless you're going all digital, that's it. So that explains why they were able to. This is the reason why they're doing the high graphics and everything, because they want everything to be digital. So that way they could be able to spot up the patches. They could spot up the patches and without any problems. They don't have to be bound by discs, which means that a lot of the games, what are they gonna do with those games that have already been released, like Spider-Man, the Final Fantasy remakes, Horizon? What are they gonna do with those? But they were made because when they were made for the PS5, they were if I understand correctly, they didn't exactly have they weren't exactly optimized, if I understand correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the thing that's got my attention here, this graphics mode, because it's got me questioning, who's this made for, this PS5 Pro. You know, that's the question that I'm asking you. Who did you make this for? Because I just want to play games. You know what I'm saying? I just want to play good games. But if it's for graphic files, okay, fine. You know what I'm saying? Graphic files will buy into this. But it feels very partitioned because they emphasizing graphics more so than anything else. And you're asking a lot of people to double dip for $700. I need to look at that trailer, because I think the trailer said 120 frames per second. And he mentioned something about, didn't he say that the regular PS5 can do 120 frames per second? Because then it's like, what was the whole promo?
Modes. It can be a difficult choice in gaming that we're all familiar with. 60 frames per second performance. The dreams of the developers are bigger than can be supported at 60 frames per second, and that leads to an aspect of modern gaming that we're all familiar with: graphics modes. It can be a difficult choice for players. Fidelity modes emphasize the visuals, typically through higher resolution.
So it has two modes, fidelity. So it is. So I did hear that correctly. It's two modes, fidelity and performance. Why? Why can't it do all of that? You're not putting it on disc. You know, you took out the disc. So why is there a graphics mode? I'm trying to process this here. Why is there a graphics mode? It's partitioning the whole thing here. You know, it's partitioning the entire thing. You know what I mean? I would have expected that in the regular PS5, but not for a Pro. So you really are not putting all the eggs into the basket here. And I don't see why this. I mean, if it's because of television sets. If it's because of the television sets, because keep in mind, there's only so many people that bought high-end televisions with 4K and all that stuff. You know, there's only see, Sony has been doing this for so dang long with the PlayStation. They think that people have high-tech stuff already. You know, they think that there is 100 million PlayStation 2 owners that has the highest end television sets imaginable, with the highest end graphics imaginable to handle this, and then they end up overloading their tech into the PlayStation, and then they put it at the top price of $700, and then this happened with the PS3. This happened with the PS3. You know? They do this all the time. They presume and assume too much of the customer. 4K television is not commonplace yet. It's like what happened with PlayStation 2. They got lucky with the PlayStation 2 with the DVD. You know what I'm saying? With the DVD. But they were pushing hard for that DVD. Very, very hard for DVD to be the standard medium. But they got lucky with that. Then they try to do that with Blu-ray. You know, they try. You know, they. I don't understand. I don't understand. Who are they competing against, and who are they making this Pro for? If it's to compete against Steam, I don't believe they can win. I don't believe they can win. People can make. People today can make high-end, actually built and customized high-end PCs for under $700 and get the same exact results that they're putting on the PS5 Pro here. And they could go right to Steam in a heartbeat, or homebrew the living crap out of Horizon and Spider-Man, and still get the high fidelity and the ray tracing and everything out of their customized PC. And I'm not feeling the fact that that there's a switch, a graphics mode switch.
That we're all familiar with. Graphics modes.
This graphic mode switch reminds me of the older computers from the last decades, man. This reminds me of the last decades. You know what I'm saying? Before the PCs really got before AMD and Radeon and them really started ramping up the graphics cards and everything. Where a switch is not absolutely necessary unless you're using a very, very old computer model. As far as I know, this was resolved with today's graphics cards and processors. Why does the PS5 have this? I'm confused here. I don't understand this.
It can be a difficult.
You know. And the other thing that's driving me nuts here is the AI. Here we go. Let's see here. Here it is. AI-driven upscaling. AI-driven upscaling. Why is PlayStation having upscaling? That's something you see in a Nintendo Switch. You know what I'm saying? That's something I would expect from a Nintendo Switch, because Nintendo Switch is a couple of generations back. Why is this current gen system needing upscaling, and they didn't even and Sony didn't even explain what AI driven means in this context? It's what is it? It's just another buzzword, masking the fact that they got to do upscaling. So does that mean that the games that are currently out right now, like The Last of Us Part 2, Spider-Man, Horizon, they're not gonna like really work on the graphics fidelities and all that stuff that the PS5 Pro is supposed to do. They're gonna rely on the upscaling to upscale that stuff when they make it when they put that into their digital shop, and everybody's spending $60 again to download those games. This is such a cheap sell here. Upscaling on a PS5 Pro. I would have expected that on the PlayStation 5 regular, not on a Pro. The Pro's supposed to be able to solve all that stuff. And ray tracing, isn't that supposed to be the developer's problem? Doing the ray tracing situation? Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Larger GPU, that's great. You put a larger GPU, but so basically, it's become how do you say, like the Apple. They just add a few extra little bells and whistles to the whole thing. Who is this system for? Larger GPU. This whole obsession with Garth's obsession with graphics is very disturbing. This company's you know what I'm saying? Yeah, great, looks gorgeous and everything. Wow. I could get. I played Black Myth Wukong on my PC. It looked just as gorgeous as this. Is this Sony playing catch up or something? I don't know. Why does the car look flat? Like real flat. I don't know. Is that the way that the car's supposed to be designed or something? But and yeah, they are going all digital because there's no tray on this. Realism. Look, I know that there's a tight fan base who loves graphics and everything, and if that's made for them, perfect. Say it. Say it. Although, it's not going to sell, but if you just go to a niche crowd. But, this whole graphics thing is starting to become more niche every day. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Graphics will be all, graphics is all nice and everything. But, how far is it going to be before it's going to stop being a video game and be nothing but tech demos just to show off graphics? Nothing but graphics and only graphics and nothing else, instead of just giving us a real gameplay, actual gaming. Fidelity of the PS5 for I mean, did the PS5 owners even care about the fidelity issue? Let me see here. He said, yeah, AI is driven upscaling. I'm just a little disturbed with the fact that there's upscaling. And he's talking about 120 frames per second, and yet there's a 30 frames per second and a 60 frames per second when you switch between fidelity and performance mode. Let me see here. Did he mention anything about 120 frames?
But when I talk to them, I do hear about their desire for more graphics performance. The dreams of the developers are bigger than can be supported at 60 frames per second, and that leads to an aspect of modern gaming that we're all familiar with: frames per second performance. The dreams of the developers are bigger than can be supported at 60 frames per second, and that leads to an aspect of modern gaming that we're all familiar with: graphics modes. It can be a difficult choice for players. Fidelity modes emphasize the...
Also, what does modern gaming mean? Can somebody explain that to me? What does that mean? It's just more buzzwords.
Visuals, typically through higher resolution rendering. These modes might also have enhanced detail or use more ray tracing. But the games only run at 30 frames per second. The visuals can be choppier, and the controls less responsive. Performance modes emphasize frame rate and interactivity, typically choosing to run at 60 frames per second, mainly by reducing the graphical detail until those frame rates can be achieved. When asked to decide on a mode, players are choosing performance about 3/4 of the time. Removing that decision, or at least narrowing that divide, is one of the key targets for PlayStation 5 Pro. We want to give players the graphics that the game creators aspire to, at the high frame rates that players typically prefer. To do that, PS5 Pro substantially improves over PlayStation 5 in 3 ways.
Okay, so
per second, reducing the graphical detail until
okay. See, he wasn't very clear about
The
that.
developers are bigger than can be supported for more graphics performance. The dreams of the developers. Creators have made amazing use of the hardware capability, richness of game.
Alright, did I
It's
misunderstand
wonderful to
this?
see such variety and richness of game experiences. Creators have made amazing use of. Finally, the Tempest 3D audio tech brings an unparalleled load data at breathtaking speed. Ray tracing allows for dramatic as 120.
So he's actually talking about the regular
8 Zen 2
PS5?
CPU cores for. When PS5 debuted in 2020, it brought a lot to the table. 8 Zen 2 CPU cores form the brains of.
Okay,
It's
that threw me.
power
Okay, all right.
brings an
So let me be. So I'm gonna have to be
their
corrected
desire
here
for more graphics.
because he threw me off on that.
These modes might
All
often
right,
can be
he
a
threw me off
difficult
on
choice
that.
for
This is
players.
the regular PlayStation 5. I'm thinking he's talking about the Pro. I'm thinking he's talking about the Pro. All this time I'm thinking he's talking about the Pro in this part here.
Frame rates can be players that
Okay.
performance about 3/4 of the time.
Okay, he
Removing
threw
that
that really threw me off.
the players.
I thought the presentation was about the Pro, and he's talking about PS5 in the first half of this whole thing.
Approach that
Are you serious?
The GPU. Here's what we call removing that decision.
Let's see.
Or at least
So for the first 3 minutes, he was talking about
Choosing
PS5.
performance
I'm thinking he's talking about the Pro from the start. I'm not interested in the PS5. I wanted to hear
Quarters of
about
the
the
time.
Pro.
removing that decision, or at least narrowing that divide, is one of the key targets for PlayStation 5 Pro. We want to give players the graphics that the game creators aspire to, at the high frame rates that players typically prefer. To do that, PS5 Pro substantially improves over PlayStation 5 in 3 ways. Here's what we call the Big 3.
Okay. So the first 3 minutes he was talking about the regular PS5. I thought he was talking about the Pro from the very start. It was really. No wonder why it seemed so weird. Him and that soft split. Him and his Garth voice. Party on, Wayne. So basically they enlarged the GPU so that they don't have to have that switch going on. That's why I was like, why is there a switch going on here? It's the freaking Pro. No, it's the old PS5 that did that. I didn't catch on to that. But still, the fact so basically the Pro combined put the they put a larger GPU so they don't have to have that switch going on, and they could get it up to 120 frames per second. Okay. You know why? Because then they started doing the comparisons over here between the PS5 Pro and the PS5. Yeah. So that was what was throwing me off in the grand scheme of things. But what I found interesting now that I stand corrected, they've been showing only the fidelity part and not the performance part. I need y'all to think about that carefully. They're putting the fidelity mode in comparison with the Pro mode, but they're not doing the fidelity mode, but they're not showing the performance mode. Why? Why is this all fidelity mode? Okay, here's performance mode. Okay.
PS5 Pro is much
here's the
sharper
performance
and
mode.
crisper than PS5. For this, my favorite.
Mute that. Yeah, there's barely any differences with performance. I was gonna say, I'm like, wait, why are they only showing fidelity? Here's performance. Jumping the gun, man! Stop jumping the gun! Pay attention! Pay attention! Said the YouTube comments. Well, because all it's all about just graphics, man. You know what I'm saying? They're just emphasizing graphics, and they're charging $700 for it. And my question is, who is this for? Who is this for? Because again, you know, the best because again, those who love gaming can buy or build a freaking PC and get the same exact result out of all of this. And with Radeon and AMD and them creating, you know, stronger graphic cards and GPUs for the PCs, it's like a much more cost efficient price. It's like, why do we need a PS3 for? And if the answer is the exclusives, well, they don't have a lot. They got a good chunk. I mean, they got Spider-Man 2 and Ratchet and Clank, new ones, but then they also imported over from PS4 like games like The Last of Us Part 2. And they still didn't explain what AI-driven upscaling is, which is a very big concern. That's the one thing that I'm concerned about is the upscaling, because why does the Pro need to upscale if they're solving the whole graphics issue? If they're solving the graphics issue, why do they need upscaling? Why is there upscaling needed? And he never explained it, you know, specifically. Why does the PS5 Pro need upscaling? Great, larger GPU. Okay. But there's just too many questions left unanswered here. And the fact that it's $700 and it's all digital, I don't know if that's even worth the price. Here it is. You know what I'm saying? The PS5 regular is cheaper, and you get to have physical discs. And right now, people are still skittish about the all digital. It's still skittish. You know what I'm saying? Still a small minority of players that like to go all digital. I would say maybe the majority, like me, go both physical and digital. Because I don't have a problem going digital. Believe me, I got a crap sack ton of digital games to go alongside. And then you got a smaller group that's all physical. You know what I'm saying? So there's a bit of a little mountain curve going here between physical only, digital only, and hybrid. You know, combined. But upscaling, I'm very hung up on that one, because I expect the PS5 not to do that. PS5 Pro not to do that. Like, I can understand maybe the regular PS5 because you have to switch between performances, but if you're trying to resolve that issue while putting in a larger GPU and ray tracing, why do you need upscaling? Why do you need upscaling? Because then that means that the third parties might not when they import over, might not patch up their games, and so they're going to rely on the upscaling for the older PS5 games, while the newer PS5 games, holy mackerel, it just hit me in the head. What if they partition? Oh man, what if they partition? Like, there's a pro version, like they're going to make pro versions of PS5 games that can only be played on the Pro. And you can't play it on the regular PS5. This happened. I saw this happen once. That was the Nintendo 3DS. Because when they did the XL, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't just a couple of 3DS games specifically could only be played on the XL and could not be played on the regular 3DS. Like, they were XL exclusives. I could have sworn. But wasn't Hyrule Warriors one of those Was it Hyrule Wars or Fire Emblem Wars? I'm trying to remember, but there were just a couple, not a lot, but there was a couple of games that could only be done on the XL, and you couldn't play them on the regular. I could be wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But if Sony's doing that, oh my gosh, that could be disastrous. Especially if it's digital only. They might, make games exclusive to the Pro just so they could do the full-on 120 frames per second, high fidelity, all that, and it cannot be played on the regular PS5 because the PS5 has to switch between fidelity and performance. Ooh, this may be bad. This might not be good, and at $700, I don't know, but it does leave me with a lot of questions here. And that is, one, who's this made for? And two, what's with the upscaling? What's with the upscaling? It's coming out this year, huh? They want to try and get ahead of Nintendo. They're looking to get ahead of Nintendo on this one, huh? Get into the holiday season. I don't know. I think that would have been. They can't call it the PS6 either. They had to go Pro on this one, so they're keeping this current generation going while Nintendo is about to start up their next generation. I hope that Sony doesn't pull a Sega and announce the PS6 next year. You know what I'm saying? They need to let this cook. They gotta let this cook. And I have no idea what Microsoft is up to, really. They're going in their own zone. But Sony, I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope they're not taking the path that lead to disaster. Ever since Nintendo effed up with their PlayStation deal with Sony back in the 90s, Sony's been kicking butt like no other. But recently, they're dropping the ball a lot. Alright. Comment, like, subscribe, follow. You know you want to. And head on over to Amazon.com and grab yourself a copy of The Impossible Man, strange fantasy novel written by me. You'll find a link to the novel down below in the description, along with links to other merch, such as pins, stickers, t-shirts, and music. Please enjoy the products. Thank you for your patronage. And if you're interested, you can join me on my live multi-stream on Twitch and Kick and hang out with me. So I play video games and react and read books and all kinds of other stuff. So I look forward to hanging out with you then. So, until the next reaction, thank you all for joining me, and I wish you all a good night, a buenas noches, and oyasumi nasai.